right. My name is Sharon Vogler, and I serve as Director of Alumni and MBA Career Development here at the Business School for Wake Forest University. I am thrilled to welcome a guest speaker today that's going to talk to us about exploring possibilities when it comes to possibly making a career pivot, and if there is anyone on the call who is thinking about starting their career, he's got some really practical tips that he's going to share. I'm just so thrilled to welcome Ted Fleming to the Wake Forest community today. Ted has had an amazing career in human resources for monster corporations like CVS Health and Aetna. He's written a book called Develop: 7 Practical Tools to Take Charge of Your Career. He's going to share one of those practical tools with us today. Welcome, Ted. I'm going to turn it over to you. We're excited to hear your remarks.
All right. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thanks very much. And thanks everyone for taking the time to do this. So a little bit about me, as they say. This is for those of you that are firstborns or those that like to know exactly where someone's coming from. Here's some facts about me. But as you see on the bottom, I say, yeah, but what's in it for me? So what am I hoping to accomplish within this hour, this precious hour? Number one is understanding what your motivating factors are and your must-have factors. So what I want you to be able to do at the end of this hour is see patterns of what will make you happy in terms of a job or opportunity, and do your factors have a nice logical story? So that's one thing. The second thing is, by the end of this, if you fill out everything, you will have identified 27 different job opportunities by the end of this hour. So that's another thing. And then finally, what you're going to get from me is sort of job aspiration or exploration statements. And what I like about that is you're going to be clear about what you're looking for and why, and there's not going to be any more jargon. There's no going to be rambling on and on. So that's what I offer, and I'll also offer some time for Q&A. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish today as part of this, and Sharon will put it in the chat if you don't have it, but we shared a workbook. People often ask for slides, but I find it more beneficial to just give you a workbook. If you don't have the access to that workbook, or you're on the phone, or you're driving, or you're doing something else, get out a piece of paper. Unless you're driving, then don't get out that piece of paper. And then you can do the exercises either now in real time or later after listening. So let's get started. In the chat, which would be great for those of you that have access to that, could you just say whether I'm looking for a new opportunity or happy where I am? Just something as simple as that. Happy where I am, looking for a new opportunity. Go ahead, put that in the chat. Happy where I am, looking for a new opportunity. Okay, thank you.
While everyone's putting those in there, I'm having some technical difficulties getting this document posted into the chat, so I'm working on it, everyone. But
okay,
looks like we've got great. Yeah.
Great, a lot looking. All right. So with that, I'm now going to summarize, because that, remember the old begin with the end in mind. Yes, remember that 7 habits of highly effective people. So here's my so what of more than 35 years of experience, mostly working with and counseling executives. Number one, if you're trying or looking for a new opportunity, these are the 3 things that get in your way. Number one, people don't explore the opportunities. They think too narrowly. So I'm hoping today, and that will be our focus, of how do you expand that aperture so you see more opportunity. Number 2, they have trouble communicating their value. They speak in too much jargon, or they speak in a way that people don't understand how you can add value. And number three, people don't activate their network. So they go it alone, they feel like no one's helping them. And so it's how can you activate your entire network to get where you want to go? But as I said, today is about exploring the possibilities. If you're happy in your current job, but you want to improve or get promoted, these are the three things I've learned over the last 35 years. Number one, what gets in the way of people is they don't build strong teams. See, that becomes more important the higher up you go and the longer you've been in an organization. Number two, that you don't expand your spheres of influence and who you know is just within your organization. And then three, you don't create a success system, which is why are you successful? How can you repeat it so that you can do it either within that organization or another organization? All right, so that's our journey for today. We're going to focus on the possibilities. Here's the number one concept. First concept is I want you to stop thinking about job satisfaction as a single continuum. I want you to now divide that up and say satisfaction is as in one thing, right? One sort of measure or sphere or what am I trying to say? Continuum, and dissatisfaction is on another. And the reason we know this is true is because you can love and hate your job at the same time. You can love your job, you love the people every day, but you hate the fact that it doesn't pay enough money to pay the bills. So that's what I mean. So we want to separate those things and find out what are the must have factors? What do you absolutely need to have a job or to take advantage of an opportunity? And then separately identify what are the things that will make you truly happy, deeply satisfied. So as you can see on this left-hand side, I have some examples. So for some people, it might be a minimum level of compensation, a certain level of job security, work conditions, status or work location. Motivating what would truly make people happy might be challenging work, recognition, personal growth. All right. What I want you to notice is in the upper right-hand corner there, it says WB2. That doesn't stand for Warner Brothers. I don't work for them. That stands for workbook, and that means that's contained on page 2 of the workbook if you have access. If you don't, like I said, just get out a piece of paper unless you're driving. We took covered that. So the first thing we're going to do is make you work because people that work with me realize, oh, he's always giving us homework. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify those job factors that are important to you. And so what I want you to do is think about an opportunity that you want. And this is also on workbook page 3 and 4. And what I want you to do is read this list. I'll be quiet in a minute. And I'm going to give you like 2 or 3 minutes. And I want you to just identify must have job factors. So what that means is what must be right about a job or opportunity for you to be happy. Meaning if it doesn't have these 5 things, you don't even want the job or want the opportunity. So I'll be quiet. I want you to read this list, and then I want you to identify 5 things that you must have in your next job. Go ahead. It's going to drive the extroverts crazy, but we're going to be quiet. Give you one more minute. Thirty seconds. All right, that was a little bit over 2 minutes. So Sharon and I can get a sense, again, if you can, in the chat, could you list one or two of your must-have so we get a sense of it, so people can get a sense? What were some of the must-have? Or or you can, I guess people can come off mute. Can they do that, Sharon, also?
Sure.
All right, or you can come off mute. What are one or two of your must-have? Flexibility of schedule. There you go. Thank you. Teamwork. Excellent. Okay. Job security. Salary. Mm. Good. A lot of intellectual stimulation, compensation, teamwork. Awesome. Thank you. Any more? Couple more? Yeah. So, and what we're looking for, I don't know, Sharon, do you see any themes so far? You see any things that come up?
See teamwork.
Yeah, good. Intellectual stimulation, I think I
I
see a lot of that. Good.
see some
All right.
salary. I see some
Mm-hmm.
salary trends.
Salary, yes. Very good. All right, great. So this is half of it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the other half, which is I'm going to give you the same amount of time, maybe even a little less. You're going to figure motivating factors. So these are things that truly, deeply satisfy you. Now, here's the catch. It's the same list, and you can't have the same thing on both lists. So if you identify the same thing and say, well, salary would make me truly deeply happy, you've got to figure out which is it. If you don't get the exact salary, you're not going to take the job, or you're going to take the job, but if they paid you at a certain level, it would really make you happy. So I hope that distinction is clear. So go ahead, take a couple of minutes, and you now need to identify up to, you may not have five, but if you can, 5 things that would truly, deeply make you happy. Go ahead and satisfy. 'Okay, you have 1 minute left. Thirty seconds. All right, that's great. So now let's see if I can get a lovely volunteer who's willing to come off mute. And I'm going to do a quick role play. All right, who's willing to do it? Thomas is. All right, thanks, Thomas. How are you today?
Not bad, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. All right, so this is how it goes. So let's start with your must-haves. We're in a meeting, we're talking. I'm like, Thomas, I'm curious. When I think about the requirements you're looking for in an opportunity, what are your must-haves?
Two of my top must-haves are teamwork and decision-making authority.
Okay, perfect.
Should I elaborate or is that okay?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
And then finally, if it's the teamwork and decision making, now the next thing I want to know is, well, what would truly make you happy? You know, we give you this job, we give you these aspects, and you're like, wow, you're like, this is the place for me.
These next ones seem somewhat antithetical to those, which is somewhat ironic, but I would say things that make me satisfied is a day without stress and when I have the support of my coworkers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what we do, thank you for that. So what we're doing is we're looking for patterns here. When I use words like culture, environment, requirements, things like that, that can seem nebulous. But instead, and I always get this, so I'm not picking on you, Thomas. Everyone always thinks, well, mine are really different, or these might not seem like they're related, but they absolutely do. So if you're looking for teamwork and decision making, it looks like there's a theme there. We'd go deeper if I was counseling you, but there seems like, you know what, based on my past experiences, be they good or bad, I'd like to have some decision-making authority. Nothing wrong with that. That means I want to be able to affect some change. And not only that, I know in order to affect real change, I need a good team. So you see how those fit together? And then also, I want to do that in a nice environment where there isn't stress, because I know that in stressful environments, people don't necessarily make the best decisions, and that's not the best environment to be in. And I want support and understanding from my coworkers. So if everyone does that by looking at their list, you'll be able to describe a nice culture and environment you want to work in. Let me pause there. Sharon, do you have any comments or things you'd like to share with the group?
I don't.
Okay.
I love watching these trends emerge and how they're interlocked, how they are interconnected, and so
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So that's good then. So let me pause here because like I said, we've gone 20 minutes and now I've got you with must have and motivating factors. You would revisit this and refine this list. Are there any questions about this before we
we
move to the
we
next?
do have we do have a question in the chat from Rule. She's asking, are you saying that deeply happy is related to environment?
It can be for you personally, but it's what deeply satisfies you. And for 9 times out of 10, a lot of times it is the work environment because we spend so much time there. So I hope that answers that question. If not, ask a follow-up question. Any other questions or comments? Okay. No?
We're good.
Uh, all right, I'm moving on because your time's precious. Okay, now that you have that, now we're talking about, remember I said people think too narrowly. So now what we want to do is we want to open that aperture. And there's three factors. One is the industry, another is a company, and a third is a role. Okay. And so this is to stop you from just rambling on, or I want to change the world, or I like working with people. People can't help you when you're trying to activate your network. So doing this work on the job exploration summary will make it easier for you to activate your network. So here's how it goes. If you're in the workbook, I'm on page 5. If you're not sure about industries, I've listed some on page 6 and page 7, but I think this is a more mature group, so with not as many undergrads. So you may be all set in terms of your industries, but I'll pop it up after. So the first thing I want you to do, whether take out a piece of paper, unless you're in the car, and write down 3 industries you're interested in exploring. Remember, you're not limiting yourself at this point. You're not saying, well, I'm not sure. It's just 3 industries you're interested in exploring. Write down 3, and then after you've written down 3, I'll know, because in the chat, Sharon and I would like you to put in your chat some of those industries so we get a sense. 3 industries, and I'll pop up the industries. Hang on. Some samples. What industries are you willing or wishing to explore? All right.
Can you go to the next page, just so we can see the second? Yeah.
Thank you. It doesn't have to be these. It might be you're comfortable in the industry you're in now, but let us see in the chat now, or someone come off mute and start sharing. What are some industries you're willing to explore? Entertainment. Well, entertainment. Sports. Okay. Higher ed, beverage. Okay. Any others? Higher ed. Education. Green manufacturing, great. Banks, yeah. Good, good. All right, good. So now I'm gonna go back. Makeup, I like that. All right, so just to remind people, because these are connected. So entertainment, sports, beverage, higher education, green manufacturing, banks, makeup, perfume. All right, now here's the next thing. For each industry, so let's say you picked entertainment and sports. The next thing I want you to do is identify 3 companies in the entertainment and sports industry that you admire. Notice I didn't say definitely going to work for. People start to self-limit themselves and they say, well, I like Disney, but I'm not moving to Orlando. It's like, that's not what I'm asking you. What I'm trying to do is paint a picture of the environment again that you'd like to work in. So if you're in entertainment and sports, I want you to list 3 organizations you admire in entertainment and sports. If you picked green manufacturing, I want you to identify 3 organizations that are in green manufacturing that you admire. And so you'll see there's 9 blocks or spaces. If you identify 3 different industries, you're going to identify 3 companies in each for each industry, and that'll fill out your 9 blocks. So hopefully that's clear what I'm asking everyone to do, and I'm going to give people 2 minutes to do that. So okay, it's fine to phone a friend or look at Google or whatever, but this should be sort of a signal to you. If you can pick an industry, but you can't pick 3 companies right away, you haven't done enough homework. So go ahead, I'm going to give you 2 minutes right now. Go. 1 minute left. All right, that was about 2 minutes. And so now, if you have all 9 blocks filled out, great. If you don't, that's obviously your homework. The third thing and the final thing is the role or the job, okay? So if you are, and of course I'm picking on you, Sharon, because you were so nice to share, but entertainment, sports, NBC Universal, you got some other things there. I want everyone to identify 3 job titles or roles. What are you going to do for these organizations? Okay, that's so open. You're going to be in accounting, you're going to be, in artist development. What are you going to do across, and this is across all the companies and all the roles, okay? So what is the role? So go ahead, take a minute and identify 3 roles. Go. Okay, 15 seconds left. It could be
Ron,
either.
yeah,
It
either,
could be
yeah.
a role, specific job. Like some people know of a specific job, other people don't know. So I hope that helps, Well. All right. Now to give people a sense, pardon me, in the chat, let's share some of the roles that you picked. So let me see some roles, or come off mute and tell me. Jake, I know you got some great roles. Adam, I know you got some great roles for me. What do you got? Digital marketing, operations, great. Right? E-commerce, sales, great, great, great. The others? Thanks. No, I appreciate that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, no, sorry about that. Okay, great. So now we're ready for the magic to happen. I'm going to use Sharon as an example, but here's what happens. Normally, when I speak to people and ask what they're looking for, I get gibberish. Instead, what I want you to do is you've identified, if you filled out all those blocks, 27 different jobs. And here's how you do it. It's role, industry, company, role, industry, company, role, industry, company. So in Sharon's case, she might say, I'm interested, she's speaking with me, I'm interested in exploring an influencer role in the entertainment and sports industry for a company like NBC Universal. I'm interested in being a director of career services in the entertainment and sports industry for a company like Disney. Just being that clear will put you ahead of 80% of the people looking for jobs. Most people aren't that clear. And so what I want you to do is actually come up with 3 of those. Because remember, we're talking about exploring. So let me pause there, and I would love it if someone would either come off mute and be willing to share their job exploration statement just by doing role, industry, company.
Do you want us to share right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm interested in exploring. I'm interested in exploring a role around driving e-commerce business in the consumer goods industry in an organization like The Honest Company.
Excellent. Thank you. Does someone else want to do one? Shy crowd, shy crowd. All right,
Um,
go ahead, go, Jay.
I'm interested in exploring a data analyst role in the perfume or makeup company industry for an organization like Bath and Body Works or Lancome.
Excellent. So data, perfume industry, Bath and Body Works, right. Now,
Mhm.
thank you for doing that. Now, here's why this is magical. Now, we didn't talk about networking. We're not going to talk about networking, but here's one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, and Sharon sees it every day, and so it drives us crazy. But here's the so what. When you complete this exercise, you have done half the job. You have shared your perspective. It is amazing how many people, and Sharon's already nodding, that totally disregard the employer perspective. What are they looking for? And so, what you're trying to do is find that match between your skills and your interests and the employers. And so the best way and most effective way to do that, Sharon and I know, is by informational interviewing, networking, whatever you want to call it. The problem is that when most people do the networking, they spend 80% of the time talking about themselves. And the only problem with that is you have no idea what the employer is looking for. So what you're going to do is if you say, I'm interested in a data analytics type of job in the perfume industry for a company like Bath and Body Works, being that specific does two things. Number one, you can activate your network because now you're clear. They can say, well, wait a second, I know someone who's a data analyst. Let me introduce you. Or, oh, wait a second, I know someone who's in the perfume industry. Let me introduce you. Or I know someone that works at Bath and Body Works. Let me introduce you. People don't think well on a blank page. With that simple statement, you trigger their memory. Oh, I know someone in that industry, company, or role. Next, when you do speak with them, you want information. You're not trying to give them information, your resume and everything else, and immediately try to find a job. No, what you want to know is if you are fortunate enough to talk to someone in that industry, you say, if you were going to hire a data analyst in the perfume business, what are the top 5 experiences you'd want them to have? Oh, well, they'd need to know how to, I don't know, analyze a new market. They've had experience launching a product. They have experience doing whatever. You're looking for it specifically. What do they know how to do? Second is what are the knowledge and skill bases you want from that person if you were going to hire them, and what's the education they would need. Here's why that's important. Let's imagine we all own a restaurant. We just are going to start a restaurant from scratch and we're going to hire a chef. I put this also in my book. And you're interviewing people that have applied for the chef job. What is the first question you're going to ask them after the pleasantries are out of the way? It's, have you been a chef? And the answer to that question is yes, I have, or no, I haven't. If the answer is yes, then you're going to say, great, Tell me about that. Was it the same size? Did it have the same theme? Did you cook the same food that we have planned for our restaurant? If the answer is no, you're going to drop down a level and say, well, wait a second. You don't have direct experience as a chef, but do you have knowledge and skills for the role? Well, yes, I do. I did some catering on the side and I really enjoy cooking and, I can create menus and you'll say, great. But the answer to that question is yes or no. I have the skills or I don't. If I don't, then I'm going to drop down another level. I'm going to say, well, if you don't have direct experience and you don't have tons of skills and knowledge, do you have the education that signals to me that you're going to pick up these skills quickly? And you might say, yes, I just went to culinary school. Or I bet you didn't know I went to Wake Forest. And they'll say, well, you can do anything then. What do you want to do? And so that's how it works. So it's not about selling yourself in the beginning. It's in order to identify and narrow opportunities, understanding what people do day to day, what do they know how to do, what are their skills and knowledge, and what is the minimum level of education needed.
Ted,
That's what.
I would like to say one thing that resonates a lot with the alumni population and the student population that I work with. And that is in regards to these informational interviews, if you can approach it with asking for advice instead of asking for a job, you're going to get them to open up, to start this conversation where they're doing more of the talking and you're doing more of the listening. And so if someone were to come to me who is interested in being a career coach at Wake Forest, and they were to ask me for a job, well, I can't give them a job. I'm already shut down because I don't have a job to give you. I'm not hiring right now, or I'm not in a position where I can actually make those decisions. But if you come to me and say, I'm really interested in learning how you got to be a career coach at Wake Forest and what kind of advice you can give me as I'm starting to build momentum towards a job at Wake Forest, I've got lots of advice that I can give you. So instead of asking and having your mind set on trying to get a job from this person, switch it just a little and think, I'm just getting advice. And people, especially Wake Foresters, love to help each other. It's part of our motto, pro humanitate, in service of others. I'm happy to give you advice. And so it might help you break down some barriers and get more out of these conversations if you approach it that way.
That is perfect. Thank you, Sharon. And when I speak with people, and I'm sure Sharon's the same way, when we speak with people that are successful, the story goes something like this. I finally, it took me a while, but I finally set up, a 20-minute, a half-hour informational interview with someone, or I'm networking with someone. We hit it off. We ended up talking for an hour. And then after that, they introduced me to someone else on their team. And that's where the job comes from. That's where the opportunity comes from. Because then it's almost like a warm handoff. I spoke with I had this great conversation with Sharon, and now I want her to meet Jane, and so I wanted to introduce you and link you. So that's how it works. I hope that's helpful. That was a little bit of preaching for us, but you got your sermon and moral lesson for the day. What questions do people have, if any? So you filled out that left side, you're going to ask the employers about that right side, and what you're going to look for is patterns of experience, patterns for knowledge and skills, patterns for education. And I will say this, Sharon will also say the same thing, particularly without stereotyping too much, but there are certain groups of people, women among them, that will often wait and not apply for jobs unless they have an 80%, 90% match with the skills. But I know you smart folks haven't gone to Wake Forest. They've told you if the match is 60%, go ahead and apply for the job. Go ahead and go through that process. You're looking for a good give and take. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that 60% plus match on the experience, knowledge, and skills and education. And you're looking for patterns. What are they really looking for? So now I will actually be quiet for a second to see if there are any questions for the two of us. Questions?
Hey, Ted and Sharon. Question about setting up informational interviews. So the way I've done it in the past is reaching out through email and asking the person for a cup of coffee, saying, can I buy you a coffee? I'd really be interested in learning more about opportunities within the company. Sounds like I would need to tweak that approach a little bit based on the employer perspective. But my question for you is there, what in your minds are the most effective way of setting up informational interviews, particularly with people that you may not know directly?
I know I have some thoughts. Sharon, would you like to go first? You want me to take it?
Sure. So, great question, Adam. And I think about it in a couple of ways. The first way that I like to go about it is, like I said before, asking for advice. I also want to make it as easy as possible on the person that you are inviting to this conversation with you, meaning everybody's got 15 or 20 minutes. If you ask for an hour from the very beginning, I might not have an hour for you, but I've got 15 or 20 minutes. In that same space, again, if you are in New York City and you know someone works in Times Square and you want to meet them for coffee, try to be in Times Square, right? Not, you want to meet in Hudson Yard, or you want to meet in Dumbo. I'm in Dumbo. Where do you want to meet? Like, make it as easy as possible on that person to say yes to your 15 minutes. Also, when you're trying to schedule that 15 minutes, instead of what works for you, I don't know this back and forth, give them time frames at the very beginning. Again, you're trying to make it as easy on the person to say yes. So if you say, next week, I'm available in these time spots, would any of them possibly work for you to grab a cup of coffee for 15 minutes? And then, like Ted said earlier, you hope that 15 minutes turns into, a really great conversation, and you're able to walk away with great advice and hopefully some more networking conversations. So approach it as advice. You're asking for advice, not a job. And my second piece of advice is to really make it easy on the person to say yes.
Thank you, Sharon. So to build upon that, think of just asking for coffee is kind of old school. People are busy. Also, remember, we live in an unprecedented information age. If you want to meet someone, I'm sure they've had a blog post, you've seen them on a podcast, you've seen them on television, they've done something. Say, I read your blog post. I saw your thing. I have a couple of questions. Would you be willing to meet with me? Well, you read my blog post. Well, of course I have time to speak with you. You read my book. Oh, you saw me on CSNBC. You saw me on Fox Business. Of course I'll take the time. Build a relationship that way. Make it and go from there.
And it could be that you just saw their profile on LinkedIn and see that they're doing something really amazing at NBC Universal.
Right.
That's like a really great approach.
Do you upfront ask in that first invitation, if you're asking somebody as a place where you really want to work, to let them know in that first conversation that I want to work at this place and I'd really like to get some advice? Or do you not approach? Because I've been questioning if they would feel right away, oh, you're going to want a job, so I don't want to talk to you.
Stair step it. Remember how you say, look, I'm interested in exploring this. So in this, you can say, I've always admired this organization. I wanted to find out more. So you're just gathering the information. You're not just starting out with, I want a job. It's like, you don't know. When I would take senior teams and I would ask them, what companies do they admire? They would often say Apple, Google, HP, and then I would take them on site visits and they would meet with executives, and they realized that in no way would a person that works for Apple and loves Apple ever work for Google. And the person that works at Google would not work at Hewlett Packard. They have very specific cultures and ways they approach their colleagues. So what you're trying to find out is, what is it really like there? I'm interested in it. I've always admired it from afar. I want to find out more. All right, other questions people have? Or I keep going. All right. All right, so far, hopefully I've done two of the things there. So far, is number one, you now know what motivates you, must-haves, and things that will truly make you happy or satisfied. Two, if you filled out this left-hand side, you've identified 27 different jobs, and now you've created those trends. You've use that information to create job exploration statements. The other thing, the last point I'll make about this exercise is it will let you know what's most important to you. So for example, if I'm talking to Sharon, what I really want to find out is what is most important is that she's in the entertainment/sports, so industry is most important. Or is it the company's most important? There are a lot of people that say, well, I don't care. Like there are a lot of people that work for Disney that says, I don't care what the job is. I just want to work for Disney because I love their culture. I want to be a teammate or a cast member or whatever they say. That's what I want. And then there are other people that say, I don't care about any of that. I'm an expert. I'm an accountant, or I'm a financial advisor. So I'll work for any company and industry that is going to take advantage of my skills. So just understanding what's most important to you will also guide your search. Is it really the company that's most important, the role, or the industry? All right. So with that, then you see the last part, which is a job aspiration statement, which is when you are ready to actually approach someone after you've had a couple of meetings, you know this is the place for you, then you're going to tell your network, well, this is what I'm really looking for. And notice the 4 parts. It's got a time frame, so people want to know by when, what role or job scope you want, what's the situation, what is your source of differentiation? What do you do better? What do you think you do better than 80% of the folks that have that same role? Now, that's just a made up number. The idea is, how do you think you're better or different? And so you see this example. By 2025, I want to be a commercial loan officer for a Fortune 100 financial services company. So that's a time frame. The job, loan officer. The situation is a Fortune 100 financial services company. And then what makes me different? I wanted to utilize my corporate finance strengths and 3+ years of retail banking experience. I guarantee you, now we're up to 95%. 95% of the people looking for an opportunity are never, ever, ever that clear. And if you become that clear, it's very easy for your network to support you. All right, any questions on that? Further on the situation, thank you. The situation is in this example, the situation is a Fortune 100 financial services company. In my book, I tell a quick story about going to lunch with 3 people that all wanted to be CFOs, and they all thought they were in competition. They were competing with one another. They tried to one up each other. When I took them out to lunch and took them through this exercise, they realized they didn't want the same thing. One wanted to be a chief financial officer for a startup company. One wanted to be a chief financial officer for a Fortune 500 company, and the other wanted to be an entrepreneur. They weren't in competition at all. So they had to learn different things. They had to build different networks, and they had to build different skills and experiences over time in order to fulfill that. That's what we mean by the situation. Where's your ultimate goal? Because that'll dictate the experiences that you need. Hope that was helpful. Any other questions? So let me tell you, this was quick, but here's some links. I want to give Sharon the opportunity to close, as well as you to prepare before in this world, your next meeting right after this. You can get me on LinkedIn. I have a website. I have my email there. I have blogs that I write, and also toolkits. So if you go to the toolkits, all the exercises we did today are there. Sharon will also post for you the exercises. I hopefully you found this helpful. Sharon, I'll give it back to you.
Well, I'm someone who loves a list, right? In between your remarks, I'm even making a list of 4 things I have to do this afternoon. And so I really appreciated the way the way you approach this from that list perspective. And I hope you all did as well. And so, as Ted mentioned, we will follow this session up with an email that will have the workbook. It'll have its slides, as well as all of these links. I'm personally going right to Amazon. Hopefully it's on Amazon Prime, and buying this book, because he's speaking my love language here. We're birds of a feather here in the way we approach mentoring and helping others. So for those of you who are on the call, please do check out our website, and there are just so many curated resources, much like these, that we have there. If you see the Stay Connected section of our website, you'll find opportunities to meet with me one-on-one, and you'll find my contact information. And so please do not hesitate to reach out to me or any member of the alumni engagement team, and we'll happy to help point you in the right direction, and get you on the right path. And so if no one else has any other questions, we'll let Ted go. I'm seeing some amazing comments come through as I'm speaking of gratitude. And so know that I am also very grateful for you investing this time to help us co-educate our alumni and MBA students.
All right. Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Really great stuff in the chat.
Good, good. All right. I'll wait till you stop.